Hello everyone, welcome here. I am so happy that you can make it to my birth story. This is my story of how I birthed my firstborn. I was 18 at the time and he was 9 pounds 1 ounce, so he was a very big baby, and I prayed so much for a beautiful birth, and that's exactly what I got, and I wanted to share it with you. But I want to start off, if you know me and you don't want to get to know me more, this is a TMI video. It will be a lot of information. It's going to be about birth, so I would advise you to stop watching here. And if you're expecting a little baby yourself, then please continue. You can get a glimpse of what my labor was like, what my birth was like, and a little bit of the pregnancy and postpartum period as well. So let's get started. I got pregnant about a year after we got married. Alex and I got married in 2016, and we were trying for a little baby for about 8 or 9 months. So I wouldn't say I had issues getting pregnant, it just took a little longer, and I am thankful that God has his perfect timing. This is a baby that we prayed for even before we were married. I always prayed for my children, for my future children, even before I knew that they were going to be. When I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited. I missed my period and I went to the local clinic. They took a pregnancy test and it was positive. And I was like, what? How can a little test with 2 lines tell me that I am growing a human being inside my stomach? Like, that is absolutely amazing. And I went home, I did a little special box that Alex had to open, and it was like his little gift, and he was so excited as well. At 9 weeks pregnant, I got my first ultrasound, and that's where I got to see my little baby Alex for the very first time. He had like this tip of a nose and like little arm buds coming out. It was so amazing to see my little gummy bear. At 20 weeks, I had my anatomy scan and everything was going really good. He looked so healthy, and it was so cool to see that they could see his organs and just, you know, measure every detail to see that he's growing fantastically. And I was very thankful to God for that. At that ultrasound, I got the gender in an envelope. I gave it to my sister-in-law, and she did a little surprise gender reveal party for us. She did 2 pranks on us where one person, me and my husband, were opening, you know, confettis. One person got pink and the other person got blue, and then something else, and then finally, the 3rd reveal was the final reveal. It's a boy! And we had blue frosting inside of a cupcake. That meant a son. We are getting our first son. Little did we know, we will get 3 sons. We did not know that at the time, even though I've always had a feeling that my first was going to be a boy. I felt like that even as a child. So I continued through the pregnancy. I was in college up until 28 weeks, and that was kind of hard because I was there from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So it was definitely hard on my body to be up on my feet all the time, and I had really bad sciatic nerve pains, but graduated the program that I was in, and at around 30 weeks we had my baby shower, which I was definitely showered with so many gifts. We were ready for baby boy. We put up the crib, we put up the nursery, and then it was just a waiting game. Like, I got bigger. I was so thankful for every kick and jab and all the flutters and every movement that I got in my stomach. It was just incredible to feel this human being grow in me, and to know that this is my baby. This isn't someone's baby. This is my own baby, and that I get to experience pregnancy. I was very thankful for every aching pain in the pregnancy. My pregnancy wasn't bad. I had nausea the first trimester, just sickness. He would always like hook his toes onto my ribs, and it was just the most not welcoming feeling. 10 days before we had our little baby, we did a photo shoot, and I'm happy that I got to capture my big belly. And then came June 6th of 2018. My water broke at 9 p.m. I went to the bathroom to pee, and I just continued to pee, and I'm like, when is this gonna stop? This is a lot of liquid coming out of me. And I was like, Alex, this is it. We need to call someone. This is it. We're gonna have our little boy. So that was so exciting. We went to the hospital around 10:30. We went into triage. They tested me. They said that there was a fluid leak on top of the, amniotic sac. So it was leaking, but it wasn't like completely ruptured. But they decided to keep me anyway because it is, broken in one area. And I got into the labor and delivery room around 12 a.m. That night, I got about 1 hour of sleep. The rest of the time, I was trying to naturally stimulate labor. Because if your bladder is broken, you were supposed to give birth within 24 hours, because if you go longer than that, then you risk infection, and you don't want that for your baby or for yourself. So I was doing nipple stimulation. I was brisk walking around the entire hospital floor. I was jumping on the yoga ball. I was doing squats. I was doing jumping jacks. I was doing everything that I can put my mind to, that I was researching, that the nurses told me to do. My labor would start and then stop and start and stop, and it wasn't anything intense. It was like, where are you? My contraction would start, it'd be there for like an hour, and then it'd kind of go away. So that's how it was. I kept on trying to induce myself naturally because I knew that this baby had to come out since the leaking of fluid. Eventually, I labored all day the 5th, and in the evening around 8 p.m. is when I got my first dose of Pitocin. I had to have 2 or 3 complete doses of Pitocin. I can't remember exactly right now. Do a higher dose every 30 minutes. So you start at 1 and then you can get up to 20. 20 is the maximum dose of Pitocin. They were coming in every 30 minutes, to higher the dose. And at first I was like, yeah, come on, we need to get this thing going. The further along I got in the Pitocin, I was like, oh no, they're coming in, they're gonna make these stronger, because it was painful. Your body was not ready to go into labor. Your body's not ready to push out a baby, and you are forcing your body into this. They went to the maximum, which is 20. I had the contractions. They were very intense. They were very close together. I did not have any pain medicine. So that's something to keep in mind, because Pitocin is very hard on you. It's forcing your body into labor. It's not even a natural thing. After the Pitocin went to its maximum, they kept me there for a bit, and they wanted to take me off so that my body would continue to progress on its own. It's kind of supposed to be used as a shove into labor, not as a continuous thing. They wanted to see where my body was at this time, and if it's going to continue to do the contractions on its own. And it didn't. It stopped. So, this whole laboring through every contraction, through all that pain, through all those hours, my body still did not get that it has to do this. It did not continue to contract on its own. It stopped after the Pitocin stopped. They had to wait a few hours in between starting another dose of Pitocin. In this time, they gave me a pill to dilate my cervix, which didn't work. They waited that few hours, started the Pitocin again, and again, I started to have really intense contractions, and they kept on, going until 20. I labored all day, the 5th night, the 6th. And the 6th is when it got so bad. I did not sleep since June 3rd night. So I've been going almost 3 days without any sleep, and I was so tired to be going through labor, to be at the hospital, even though they were great. Staff was amazing. They fed me. That was the best thing about staying at the hospital, is you get to order off of a menu and they just bring it to you. You don't have to make it. Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that so much. But I wanted my baby. I wanted my baby out. I was tired of going through the pain, even though the entire time I was praying, and I was so thankful for the strength that God gave me. And we continued until they broke my water. When they broke my water, the contractions became so much more intense, because my Pitocin is basically at a maximum, and they broke my water, so I don't have any cushion left between the baby's head and my cervix. So I am completely, going into this, and they continue my Pitocin all the way up until I gave birth. I finally was dilated to a 10. I was so happy to hear that. I'm like, yes, I'm almost done. This is great. My baby will be in my arms like anyone. So they put me on my back, which I knew wasn't a good position to deliver in, but at that time I was just so done. I was falling asleep in between contractions because I was so tired. One thing about my labor is I was very tense, I was very vocal, I was screaming, I was holding on to, Alex's hands. Alex was doing counter pressure on my hips the entire time. Poor guy, he couldn't even go pee because I was like, no, I need you here, I needed to do this. And when he eventually very much needed to, the nurse came and did that pressure for me. And he came back immediately and did that too. He was a champ. I am so happy to have his support, like mentally, physically. It was really good for me. It was just nice to know that we're doing this together and this is our baby. They put me on my back and they offered me a mirror, like a big mirror so that I can see what's going on down there. And I said yes. And I honestly don't remember the pain in the pushing stage at all because I was so amused of how my baby is coming into the world. It was amazing to every contraction, they would count to 10 and you would have to push, which I am very much against now because I've birthed, 2 more babies after this, and I understand how the body is able to push and that this is not the right way to do it. But this is what happened with my baby Alex. I was pushing, and eventually, after like 25 minutes, I finally saw my baby for the first time. His fluffy cheeks and head came out, and I yelled, "He's huge!" because he really was huge. With the next contraction, his body was out, and he came right onto my chest, and that's just the most treasured memory I can ever have. It is such an amazing thing to see your baby come out, to feel him come out, to know that he's finally here, this human that you've been waiting to meet for 9 months, for your whole life, imagining what your kids would be like, and to just have your baby on your chest for the first time. Immediately we were doing skin to skin. Alex cut the cord. We did delayed cord clamping, but they waited about like a minute or 2 until the umbilical cord started pulsing. Alex cut the cord. We gave baby Alex vitamin K shot and eye ointment, and they finally weighed him, and he was 9 pounds and 1 ounce. He was huge. He was like a very, very chunk. Like, there's like newborns that are like cute and sweet and like small. He wasn't like that. He was just like massive. And like, how did you fit in there? And he was like 20 and a half inches long. So he came, his birthday is June 6th of 2018, and he was absolutely perfect. I was so in love. I was in love with every feature that he had. I was so excited and in love with breastfeeding him. He fed, especially during that hospital stay, the weeks after, he would feed for hours. He was on all the time. He would feed for an hour, every hour. Like, it was constant.
Come on, unroll your toes.
They gave me like the nipple cream and the little nipple pads, like a cooling pad thing that I would use in between feeding. I'm very happy that the nurses were there to help me. They were telling me that his lips have to be like a fish. They had to be out. His bottom lip kept coming in, so that was making an improper latch so that he can't effectively feed, and it's painful for me. So the way the baby, now it's time for me to deliver the placenta. I didn't know, and we didn't talk about this with my husband before I delivered my little baby. I didn't know that he took a picture as soon as he was born and sent it out to his family. So I am wide open delivering the placenta, and his mom and sister come in. They just come in the room, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And I mean, they left right away once they assessed the situation. They were like, well, this is way too early. But so they waited there and then met him a little bit later. And because I gave birth at 7:46 p.m., 8 is when visiting hours ends. So they came like at a good time, like, you know, before it ends. But then you can have like emergency visitors or something like that. Anyway, so because my husband's mom visited, my mom wanted to visit, and then my grandma wanted to visit, and so they came around 11 p.m., which I came to my recovery room around 9, and I was trying to, you know, breastfeed and trying to learn all these things. It was hard to have guests so soon because I was very tired. I could barely keep a conversation. I was in so much pain. Then the next day came. I wish I can say that it was great, but I had so many visitors and I love all these people and I'm so thankful for each one of them. But I had in the room around 24 people, more than 24 people at one time. It was from 8 in the morning till like 9:30 p.m. I had visitors all day long. I couldn't nap. I could barely breastfeed my baby. I had to cover. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't see him properly. When you breastfeed after birth, you still have contractions because the nipple stimulation is having your body contract so that your uterus goes down to its original size. So not only does that last for a few days after, but it intensifies when you're breastfeeding, but you're also breastfeeding constantly because newborns like to eat a lot. So to do this and then to keep a conversation and to see these people and try to hide everything, it was very difficult. I also didn't have great muscle strength down there because I just delivered a huge baby. So for me to go to the bathroom, for me to go pee, was I have to go pee and I need to do it right now. Like I could barely make it to the bathroom. And so for me to have everyone see me kind of wobble over there, I needed Alex's help and everything. It was a lot for me to take in. I had lots of like mama bear effects where people are passing around my baby and I'm like I want to be with him too. You know, I work so hard to be with him. I want to hold my baby. I want to bond with him. I want to feed him. I want to have skin to skin. But I was not able to do that for that first day after just because of the visitors. So if visiting is allowed for you now, then I would advise to keep it to a minimum. I gave birth to my 2 other babies during COVID and it was amazing. It was amazing. I got to FaceTime the people I loved, but I could feed them, I could learn them, I could look at them, I could have skin to skin without anyone interrupting me, and I really enjoyed that. I remember the first time Alex held his son, and he was just like tearing up. It was so sweet. It was so sweet. And to see like their bond instantly happen, it was a beautiful thing to witness. And that's what he said about the birth. He said it was beautiful. He said that he really enjoyed it and that he was so amazed to see life being brought into the world. And I'm happy that I could do that for him. The nurses would give me these 4-size diapers filled with ice and then witch hazel pads on top and a numbing spray to take care of down there after birth. They would also give me this spray bottle that I can spray too because you can't wipe. I had 2 internal tears where I had to get stitches on a very raw area where you do not want to get stitches, especially without any pain medicine. But that was like nothing compared to actually birthing the baby. It was extreme. It was extremely painful. The contractions were intense. Its birth is undescribable for me. It is something that you can't fit it into words. It's very complex and hard. It's definitely a mental game when you do it naturally because you're enduring so much pain that you can't get out of. It's interesting. I I don't want more kids right now, but I do want to experience birth again. So it is crazy and hard and so painful, but at the same time, these are my most treasured memories. After delivering little Alex, the next day I had a really, really bad migraine, and that is something that I did ask Tylenol for, and that helped me, but it was very, very intense, and I usually don't get headaches, but that afterbirth headache was very crazy, so that's something to look out for. The night of June 7th, the hospital gave us 2 pieces of chocolate cake and sparkling apple cider, and it was just so amazing to have like our little date at night with a family of 3 for the first time. I really enjoyed the hospital stay. They were great, the staff was great. I am thankful for all of them and for the midwives that I went with, because I went with midwives at a hospital. I'm not sure how they're different than an OB. I know that they do a lot more natural methods, but that's why I like them. I went with them, they were wonderful. My little baby passed all his tests. They had to, poke his heel and take out blood from his heel and put them on these little circles on paper. They had to send it out somewhere. He passed that test. They had to do that also at his 2-week checkup. He passed his hearing, he passed everything that they were testing him at the hospital, and so I was so thankful for that, because it's kind of scary to like see them, with all these machines on your baby, and you're like, oh no, is there gonna be something wrong? So thank God he answered, because we were praying for a healthy baby. My stomach was very raw. The nurses kept coming in and pushing on my stomach and watching the blood out to see if I'm hemorrhaging or not, and thank God I wasn't. So that's something also to watch out for, that they're gonna come in and press on your very already much in pain stomach. But that's good that I wasn't bleeding an excessive amount. It's a very intimate relationship with all the nurses and stuff, because they see you in places that you don't show anyone. This is their job, and so I'm happy that, they didn't make it seem awkward or anything. June 8th at 11 a.m. we finally got to go home. So we were at the hospital for a good while. We got to go home, and Alex, my husband, he surprised me with a new car as we were exiting the hospital, and we got to put all of our flowers in there. We got to drive home on a new car. It was kind of amazing to walk through the door of our apartment for the first time with our baby. They trusted us with him. They let us go home with him. That's crazy. Why would they do that? It was definitely a whoa, this is mine. This is my son. This is, the little baby that I was waiting for, and now we're home, and now he's mine. It was a very interesting feeling. Because I didn't have an epidural, I could go and walk right after birth. I didn't have to wait for my legs to, start feeling again. It was a pretty quick recovery time. I bled for 6 weeks after, so that was kind of long. I felt really good afterwards. I was going on walks the next day around our neighborhood. I was very thankful for my church and their support, because they brought me meals for the first week, and I did not have to worry about that. And Alex was home for the first week as well, so we got to bond with the baby. He helped me with a lot too. I am so thankful to my God for hearing my prayers and for answering them, because this birth was so beautiful. I stopped taking medicine as a child, as a teenager. Even if I had really bad period cramps or something, I would be no, I have to persevere, because I want to naturally, without any pain medication, deliver my child. And I am thankful that he blessed me through that, and I got to achieve my goal. I am also very thankful to God for blessing my postpartum period. I had so much joy. I enjoyed every cry, every diaper change, every sleepless night, every feeding, everything. I enjoyed my little boy so much. I am so thankful that he blessed my recovery and my bond with my baby so much. I had my next baby, and my postpartum period was not like that, and I can go into that in his birth video. But with this first baby, I was just over the moon, so happy, so thankful for him, and enjoying every little bit of him. Even though I gave birth without pain medicine, it was so beautiful that I was ready that moment when they put him on my chest to do it all over again. I'm thankful that right now I can share it with you. I hope that your labor and delivery goes well. I hope that God will bless you to have a beautiful experience as He allowed me to have, and I will pray for you. And if you are a new mama that you just delivered your baby, I hope that He will give you a beautiful and fast healing process and recovery, and that you will bond with your baby, and just try to treasure those moments. I know sleep deprivation is a very big thing and it's intense, but may God bless you to enjoy your little one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!